wearing a lot of hats, right? I mean, they're all in the copywriting space, but you wear for like a lot of different people, right? So how do you actually balance your full-time job right now with all the other side projects, clients you might have, other initiatives? Like, what's your key to staying sane and staying productive?
Just planning ahead is make sure that the day before I know what projects are happening. I'm blessed to work at my because at least I know what is happening tomorrow, so I can plan ahead. Okay, tomorrow I want to get this done by this time, and then after work I will focus on this project and then that project. Because the thing about side projects is, at least mine, you don't have to deal with them every day. Like sometimes I don't have to deal with one project for 2 weeks straight, and then suddenly I need to spend a lot of time on them. Then I spend time on them. So it's just a matter of planning the day ahead. That helps a lot.
Nice. Yeah, I think a lot of people take planning or like they don't really think about it, right? They wake up and they just kind of do whatever they feel like or whatever gets thrown onto their plate. So instead of actually planning it out. So that said, like, how do you actually plan out your day? Like, what do you have a specific way of thinking about it, of blocking your time, of figuring out what's actually important in that day or what's not?
Okay. So so actually the last week has been so busy, I almost burnt out. So yesterday I actually took out a piece of paper and I wrote down all my commitments that I have for the coming 2 months. And I know that some commitments, like for example, I'm going through Lifebook and I'm going through some other beta programs as well. So I can't wait to finish them. So there are fewer things on my plate. So that's the first thing. I want to minimize as many commitments as I can. And second productivity hack I always do is that I don't eat in the morning. That's just me. If I were to drink Milo and eat biscuits in the morning, first of all, it's not good. It's not good branding for me. Like it's going to kill my health. And also, I'm just not productive. I get very cloggy in the morning, so I try not to eat until lunch. So that's the first thing I do. And then, besides that, I think that's about it. Yeah, that's mainly what I do to keep productive. And also, I schedule in time to make sure that I have rest. I think being a very ambitious and productive person, we have a tendency to feel guilty when we think that we're wasting our time doing something else that isn't work related. Maybe we think that, if I'm watching Netflix, then I'm one of those losers that the motivational speakers say, they just Netflix and chill all day. They didn't do anything. So I think it's very important to set that time in for yourself and not feel guilty. That's what I found. You need that time, especially if you're creative and especially an entrepreneur, to have that time to rest and recharge so that you can come back the next day and really go all out. I can assure you, if you don't do that the next day, first of all, you may not even sleep well. And second, you can't even focus the following day, which makes everything worse. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, I want to echo that because I think a lot of people, exactly like what you said, they feel guilty, for chilling, right? Like Netflix and chill, it's like a pseudo, kind of negative term, right? And when you think about it, if you don't embrace your mental needs, which is to rest, right, or your physical needs to rest, then you end up kind of go into this cycle of dragging it along, right? So the next day becomes worse, so your productivity just never comes back to where it needs to be or where it was, right? So don't be shy to like just rest and just factor that in and splurge your time doing what you love, and yeah, I think that is something that a lot of people need to recognize.
Yeah, well on that, right? I'd actually like to add on this. There's this guy I really admire. I'm pretty sure you guys know him as well, Ramit Sethi. So I love his work. I devour almost anything he comes up with, even his podcast interviews, even bloopers of his podcast interviews. I would even watch, right? So there was one point during the lockdown that I was extremely guilty. I felt so guilty that I wasn't being productive, right? My newsfeed is full of these gurus telling me that this is the time for opportunity. This is the time that you should make money online. This is the time when online education is booming. What are you doing? Sitting down and doing nothing. You big fat loser. So I was like, okay. So I was extremely guilty. First of all, I stopped logging into Facebook. So I felt so guilty for not doing anything, right? But then I listened to Ramit again, and then he has this philosophy, big wins. Okay, he has this philosophy called big wins. He says that as long as you get the big things in life handled, doesn't care what you do with the rest of your time. So as long as you got your work commitments done for the day, you should enjoy the rest of your time guilt-free. It's the same thing with money. As long as you invested the amount you said you were going to invest, and you save the amount you're going to invest, and you earn the amount you're going to invest, and you earn the amount you're going to earn, you can spend it all on unicorn dolls or what I care. Because as long as you got the main things done, it doesn't matter what you do with the rest of the stuff.
Yeah, I want to double down on that, because sometimes, there's this like savings goal, right? There's this thing that you want to save, and then there's this amount that you want to invest, and then you kind of allocate. So at least for me, I will allocate whatever amount to splurge, and have fun, or like your expenses. And somehow, from time to time, I will have this kind of thing that, okay, maybe I should kind of push it a little bit more, right? Cut down on that spending, cut down on that expenses. And the thing is, if I was conscious and comfortable with that, then it becomes an optimal level, right? I mean, I'm okay with that. But the reality is I'm not. But I'm actively engaging in this idea, maybe I should save a little bit more. But it kind of challenges my emotional capacity, right? So then you have to recognize that, okay, since this is your plan, that means your plan is to save this much, spend this much, splurge this much, then you just stick to the plan, and don't let the emotions kind of overrule you. But if the data points kind of come in, if you keep doing the same thing, you keep having surpluses, then you can kind of revisit the whole system, because the data points come in to suggest something else, right? But exactly like what you said, right? Just stick to the plan and don't feel embrace the emotions, understand why, but don't need to tweak it. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, because it was so bad to a point that I felt even guilty of having the YouTube app on my phone and having the podcast app, because I would watch YouTube for 4 hours a day, right? And I thought I could have used this time to build a business and blah blah blah. But then, if I was really honest with myself, even if I were to try to build a business, half an hour in, I'll just go back to YouTube anyway. So I just accepted the fact that this is my time. I like to spend it this way. Even if I watch The Voice and America's Got Talent's talking dog for 3 hours, doesn't matter as long as I got my work done for the day. That's just how I think.
Yeah. And I guess closing it, one thing I always do for myself is I set myself my 3 main intentions for the day, right? Or these are going back to the whole idea, if I get these 3 wins, and knock these out early, then I'm done, right? Everything else is I can spend my time however I want. If I want to keep going and I'm enjoying it, by all means, go ahead. But at the same time, if I want to just sit down and do one of my 1,000-piece puzzles, I will do it. And there are times where I just literally sit there and do 6 hours of it nonstop, right? But for me, it's I already got everything else I need done for the day. It's all good, right? Mm-hmm. So to be able to give yourself that freedom and flexibility, I think that's really important, especially during this time where where everyone's stuck at home, right? It's really easy to feel one way or another, or to feel like you're not productive or the whole time, or to feel oh man, you're this is the opportunity you're losing. To take a step back and be oh wait, life's gonna move on, things are still gonna happen. I'm still on track for everything I've said I wanted to do. And so why try or why do I need to feel bad about it, right?
Yeah. So I think besides just giving yourself the freedom, I think for a lot of people, it's giving themselves permission to be able to do this. I think that's one thing. I think a lot of us are always looking for others to give us permission, but I think it's very important to give ourselves that permission as well.
Definitely. I guess that said, though, what's the biggest challenge you're currently facing in your life, or as a copywriter?
Oh, as a copywriter, I would guess is I really want to upskill further. I definitely want to work on bigger projects where I can see more and more direct impact of what my copy can do for the company, and also I just know that I need more accountability or someone to kick my ass when it comes to the important but not urgent goals in life. You know what I mean? Like, there are some goals that you may not have an accountability partner. You may not have a business partner on this business, but it's something you always wanted to do. Like for me, I dream to be a film director and working in Hollywood, but it's not urgent. It's not going to pay the bills. It's probably going to take me years before that happens. But I think even as a creative, I just need that accountability for me to move forward on things that are important but not urgent. Yeah.
Speaking about accountability, do you have like mentors or people that do keep you accountable in different like facets of life?
I wouldn't say, I don't know why. When I was growing up, and I always hear friends telling me things like, my mentor told me this. My mentor. Like, they were like, it sounded to me like they were bragging, and I never understood how did it work. But I don't have mentors in the way people imagine, like sitting down, talking to them every week, those kind of things. But my accountability partners are mostly my business partners. So my business partners in this, or my clients, are my accountability partners, because I gotta deliver the work. So I always see my accountability partners mainly as that. In terms of people outside that capacity, yes, I do have a friend that I catch up with when it comes to holding each other's goals accountable, and that's about it. Nothing fancy. I don't want to show off to people like, yeah, I got mentors, that's why I'm successful. But I can tell people that mentors are much easier to find than you think. Most importantly, find the person who has the life you want, who has the results you want. Ask them a question. Ask a direct question. Okay, actually, is it okay if I share this story about?
Go for it.
First? Okay, so I met this guy. He's a dato. Okay, he's a dato here in Malaysia, and it was one of the most enlightening conversations because he's the kind of guy who never answers a question. He always answers a question with a question. You know those kind of people? They'll say like, "Hey, I'm really thinking whether I should move to this house," and then he will say like, "Are you sure you want to move to the house?" He's that kind of person. So he always answer a question with a question. So I was talking to him once, and then he told me his story. Like he met Tony Robbins. No, he was in Australia studying. He met a billionaire. He got to go to Tony Robbins' house and meet him and all the other like 8-figure, 9-figure people, very wealthy families and everything. So I asked him what he learned. He said that when he was on a private jet with this billionaire, right? Because he was a young kid, he was studying his master's, right? But he took a liking to him. So he did ask him this question, like, okay, imagine. Okay, yes, I want to imagine. Let's say that you got into a plane, into a private jet of a billionaire, right? And you could ask him anything, right? What would you ask him? And let's say he's also like, he's in the financial management space.
What would I ask him? I would ask him what. Hold on. The pressure is on. I would ask.
That was like sound effect there, right?
Yeah.
Oh.
I heard yours and I quickly muted my mic so to not get the second one.
Okay.
Yeah, I would ask him something along the lines of what skills or what questions should I really be asking myself more of?
Oh, you mean that's what you would ask him?
Yeah. Or
Okay.
yeah, essentially what are those skills that or questions that you feel like are the most important for someone to succeed?
Okay. All right. So those are the questions I would have asked, right? Because he was asking me that question. He said like, because he was a young kid, like you've seen this in conferences before. Maybe Gary Vee is talking and then someone goes up to the mic and he says, what is the number one key to be successful? Or what are the 3 keys that I should look for to be successful? Something like that, right? So he asked that question to the billionaire and the billionaire was insulted. He just like this, and then he looked him straight in the eye and he says like this, very few people have the opportunity to sit down with me in my jet and ask me questions. So for you to ask me questions like, what are the 5 books that made me successful? I think it's a very huge waste of your time. This is what I suggest you do whenever you get to talk to very very successful people, whatever, right? He says, whenever you have a chance to talk to someone who's successful, try your best to ask for direct advice, like direct advice, as much as humanly possible. So for example, it's a very difficult question to ask, but you better ask permission first. So for example, what my friend should have done is, hey, let's say Mr. Robert, right? Mr. Robert, I'm currently working on this business idea. Is it okay if I run it through you? And then he says, sure, right? Then he'll take out a piece of paper, he'll write down exactly what he's doing and what is his strategy of going about it. And then he will ask the billionaire, what do you think about the strategy? Do you think it may work? And that's when the billionaire can give him direct advice for his situation. Instead of doing a roundabout way of asking a question of, what are the 5 books that made you successful? Or what are the skills I need? It's really hard for him to answer that question. But if he has complete context and you want a specific answer to a specific question, then that's the best use of someone's time. So at least, and then here's the thing about working with VIPs is, talking to VIPs is, once you get that direct advice, make sure you implement it and get back to them. And as long as you keep them in the loop and as long as you act on their advice, they have a very strong affinity to become your quote-unquote mentor. So next time when you ask them for advice, they know that you're going to take it. That's what I found. I found my mentors through that as well. I met up with them. I asked them for help. They gave me advice. I acted on it, and I told them what I did. I can tell them that I tried it, and it didn't work. So I asked for something else. And then they would tell me, and then I'll try it again. As long as you take action on their advice, that's what they really want. A lot of people ask them for advice and never take action. But if you take action on what they ask you to do, they are more than happy to continue to help you.
That's a huge golden nugget. Thank you. And I guess looking back, like I have also noticed that like the key thing with seeking out mentorship or trying to create some sort of relationship like that, a longer term one, is actually implementing whatever it is that they suggest, telling them that you've tried it, and then telling them the results, whether it works or not, because then they know like, okay, like this person's not wasting my time, right? Like this person's actually trying to do something with it. And I've also noticed like when I did that back in university, like those were the people who were like these mentors of mine that back then were like the ones who would be more than happy to take my call anytime, sit down with me, have a conversation around whatever it was I'm struggling with.
Mm-hmm.
And to this day, like we're still definitely really good friends.
Yes, definitely. People love to help people who help themselves. People love to help people like that.
Yeah. Wow. So I feel like you've given a lot of really great advice. But hey, this is CS for More Money Malaysia. We are a platform dedicated to helping Malaysians like you make smart financial decisions. And the way we do that is through providing you with actionable advice, such as the video you just saw, right? But we're not here just to become your intellectual entertainment. We really do want to see you succeed, because we want to see you live that ultimate life that you've always dreamt of, right? And in order for us to do that, what we've decided to do is we want to help make it easier for you by providing different types of rewards throughout the months. So make sure you check out the description below, click on that link and see what type of reward you might be able to qualify for by taking action right now. And if you have any other questions about any of this, feel free to contact us wherever you find us. Take care.